بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين لا قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Today we are going to continue this Q&As on Tawaf, and today's section is on the website of Sayyidi Sistani دام حكم من بطل طوافه أو تركه أو ولو جهلا أو نسيانا. The ruling of somebody whose tawaf became invalid or he abandoned it, like abandoned the tawaf, either out of unawareness or ignorance or out of forgetfulness. We said that you cannot abandon your tawaf, okay? Once you are in, you have to complete it. So you cannot decide, oh no, let me start again. No, you need to have a proper valid reason to start from again. You cannot just say, okay, let me start from again. So that's why we said that in order to see what are the rulings, we are going to today, inshallah, take this section of Q&As about somebody's tawaf became invalid or he abandoned it. Question number one. So this question has A, B, C, D, E, F, G, sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. Okay, let's take section by section. So the question is the general question. Then we will have sub questions in it. What is the ruling of someone who realized that his tawaf was invalid? Okay, his tawaf was invalid. جهلا منه ببعض أركانه. Not intentionally, not knowing, out of unawareness of some of the essential parts. And essential, when we talk about arkan, like in arkan salah, there are 5 pillars of salah, 5 essential components of salah, essential obligations. There are non-essential obligations in salah and essential obligations in salah. There are essential obligations in tawaf, non-essential obligations in tawaf. So let's say someone, like for example, ruku' is an essential obligation. If you forget it and you go into the second sajda, which is next rukun, then kiss your salah goodbye. You can't fix it because you missed a rukun, pillar of salah, essential obligation, and you entered another essential obligation where you cannot come back from it. So essential obligations, even out of unawareness, causes invalidation of tawaf. So the question is that what is the ruling of someone who realized that his tawaf was invalid due to being unawareness of some of the essential obligations of the tawaf in the following circumstances. So the generic question, as hypothesis, is that somebody who realized tawaf is invalid, and also he was unaware about some of the essential obligations which he missed, and that caused his tawaf to become invalid. So let's see. Section number A, or subsection number 1. So there are several instances where this happened. Let's take the first instance. بعد الفراغ من أعمال عمرة التمتع مع سعة الوقت. After completing the amal of Umrah al-Tamattu with the flexibility of time. What does that flexibility of time mean? That means once you finish Umrah al-Tamattu, once you do taqsir, you are exiting the ihram, you'll wait in Makkah until 8th of Dhul Hajj or 9th of Dhul Hajj, then you'll go to Arafat. And then that's the time when you'll start your Hajj and you'll be in the ihram of Hajj. So there is an ample time between your end of your Umrah and the beginning of the manasik of Hajj. So he said he must redo the tawaf and the salat of tawaf and the sa'i between Safa and Marwa, because these are all sequential, okay, domino effect. So if you missed your tawaf, that means your salat al-tawaf become invalid. If your tawaf is invalid, salat al-tawaf invalid. Salat al-tawaf invalid, sa'i between Safa and Marwa invalid. And taqsir did not have any effect in exiting you out of ihram. So you are still in the state of ihram. So you go and wear your things and stay away from every invalidators of ihram or prohibitions of ihram, and you come to the Kaaba, do your tawaf. So he must redo the tawaf and the salat of tawaf and the sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and then after that exit the ihram by doing taqsir. So that was scenario number one. Scenario number two, after completing the amal of Umrah al-Tamattu', but with the narrowness of time. You completed the amal of Umrah al-Tamattu', but like in the morning of 9th Dhul Hajj. And then there's not enough time. You need to go to Arafat. And then you realize, oh, my tawaf was invalid. So what would you do here? The time is not sufficient for you to go back and do the tawaf and sa'i and do the taqsir, tawaf, salat and sa'i and taqsir and go to Arafat. It will not, you will miss Arafat. So he says, after completing the amal of Umrah al-Tamattu', with the shortage of time, with the narrowness of time, he says, if the time was narrowed and short in a way that he cannot redo the a'mal, okay, of Umrah al-Tamattu' before the noon of the your day of Arafat, his Umrah will be invalid. Okay, Umrah al-Tamattu', kiss your Umrah goodbye, because the Tawaf is invalid. Tawaf is pillar of Umrah, and pillar of Hajj. So your Tawaf is invalid. So then you have to pay also kafara on the basis of obligatory precaution, a camel. Okay. Okay. What if you realize that your Tawaf was invalid on the day of Arafat in Arafat? So first was ample time between Umrah al-Tamattu and Hajj. Second, very narrow time. Now you are in Arafat and you guys are chit-chatting with your beloved ones there, and somehow somebody mentions Tawaf and Arkan al-Tawaf and obligations of Tawaf, and you say, oh, always that is kind of dangerous thing. So yes, so what happens if you realize and you were in Arafat? Okay. So his Umrah al-Tamattu' is invalid. Okay. Uh, and then he has to pay a camel as a penalty on the basis of obligatory precaution. Scenario number 4. What if he realizes after the Amal of Hajj? And now he has to do Tawaf of Hajj. So بعد الفراغ من أعمال الحج مع فرض كون الطواف للحج. Now the Tawaf is going to be the Tawaf for Hajj. So he said he repeats it and repeats the Salat of Tawaf and repeats the Sa'i before completing of the Hajj. Okay, so here he will repeat the Tawaf. He's come back from Arafat and Mina and Muzdalifah. Okay, he has completed A'mal of Hajj. His Hajj is finished. So now what will he do? He's still in Makkah. So he says he will repeat because his Hajj is invalid. Okay, the whole thing he did, because it's Umrah al-Tamattu', like Hajj al-Tamattu'. When we say Hajj al-Tamattu', that means Hajj al-Tamattu'. Some scholars might consider it changing to Hajj al-Ifrad and then do Umrah Mufrada. But here, Sayyidi Sistani Damadullah says, yu'iduhu. He needs to redo his tawaf. Tawaf of what? Tawaf of Umrah, which was messed up. وَيُعِيدُ صَلَاتَهُ. And then, so يعيد طوافه ويعيد طوافه ويعيد صلاته, and he will repeat the salat of it. وسعيه, and he will repeat the sa'i of it before completion of the month of Dhul Hajj. So when he says before completing the month of Dhul Hajj, that means still he is considering it to be Umrah al-Tamattu. So if he's doing like Umrah al-Tamattu, because there's no Tawaf al-Nisa mentioned here, otherwise it would have been Umrah al-Mufrada, and the Hajj would have been changed to Umrah Hajj al-Ifrad. So it seems here that Sayyidi Sistani Damadullah in this ruling is focusing on the Umrah which was incorrect before the A'mal of Hajj. Now after the A'mal of Hajj, okay, he has to redo the Tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu, and Salat of Tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu, and Sa'i between Safa and Marwa. All this before the completion of the month of Dhul Hajj. Remember, in several cases, he had mentioned that if the time was short and he had not done the tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu and Sa'i, he can do it qada after the A'mal of Hajj. So it seems here, Sayyidi Sistani Damadullah doesn't have any problem with his Hajj. However, he's considering the Amal of Umrah al-Tamattu as a qada before performing the Tawaf of Hajj, because the question says that he's supposed to do the Tawaf of Hajj. So he says no, the answer is he's going to do the Tawaf of Umrah and Salat of Tawaf of Umrah and its Sa'i before the end of month of Dhul Hajj. Like when you say before the end of month of Dhul Hajj, this is the month of the period Manasik al-Hajj. So that is something which is indicative from this ruling. Okay, so the fifth scenario. After he returns hometown, after he comes back, and they're having like talk with their Maulana in the masjid, sitting, like those talks after Salat al Maghrib and Isha, people they sit together, and this guy came back like Shiblin Nu'mani, and he just talks about his amal and how, mashallah, everything went smooth, and then he said something about the tawaf. The Maulana there said, oh, what? Are you sure you did not do this? Or you did the tawaf from the top floor all the way from the roof? Are you sure you did that? Yeah, I saw people doing, and I said, let me just do there in an open air all the way on the top floor, roof, because roof is all the way above the height of the Kaaba. The debate was on the second floor, but the roof is definitely high. So he says, what, Maulana? He says, your tawaf is invalid. No, but I did not know. Well, the tawaf is invalid. But now what should I do? I mean, I'm back to my hometown. So he says, um, if you are back to your hometown, then kiss your Hajj goodbye, because you're supposed to do Umrah al-Tamattu and Hajj al-Tamattu. And and that is something for people going Hajj and Umrah. Please learn the ahkam. It's not like going to Ziyarat Karbala and Samarra and this and that. There you don't have anything to it becomes invalid, and it affects your life after you come back to your hometown. The people say, oh, how is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so less mercy? I said, well, how are you more negligence? You know that it is wajib. Shouldn't you be learning your ahkam? Don't go. Don't go Umrah or Hajj if you can't, if you are not able to understand this ahkam and ruling. No need to go there. If you want to go there, then learn your rules and laws about the do's and don'ts. If you don't want to learn about recommendation, that's fine. But know your obligations of every single thing. That the only tawaf has obligations that many. Other things are very less obligations. So that means before blaming Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of His mercy, Why don't you blame yourself for the negligence you did and going to Umrah and Hajj and thinking that is just like a there's nothing upon me and this and that. No, you need to learn the rules. Okay, at least the rules which encounter you, like forgetting, rules of forgetfulness, or tawaf is mean. Try to it, and it will not take a half an hour, 45 minutes. You can know all the red lines of tawaf. You don't have to go into the rules of detailed and doubts and this. You just know what are you supposed to do. And if you go against it, consult your Maulana, check with them, okay, and let them be responsible. Okay. If they answer wrong, then you have to go back, then they need to pay your ticket going back to them because they took the responsibility of guiding you. Okay, so here his Hajj is invalid and he has to pay a penalty, camel, unless if he is able to go back to Mecca before the end of the month of Dhul Hajj. Okay, because Dhul Hajj is the end time. So he says, what if uh, in his answer he says, well, before the end of the month of Dhul Hajj, and he poses a question in the answer. If someone asks, will it be sufficient for someone to designate a representative if he was not able to go back to Makkah for valid reasons? Okay, there was a valid excuse prevented him from going back to Makkah. So can he designate a representative? See, we have condition. People, they need to know the condition, not oh, okay, then I'll designate a representative. No, no, no. He says if إذا تعذر, if there was an excuse preventing him, not the ticket, not the money, not all this kind of thing. No, like he cannot travel, his passport is finished, there is an issue a lot, like really he's been prevented from traveling. Okay, not like he's doesn't have money, get loan. I mean, who told you not to learn the ahkam? Because it's stuck on your shoulder. So otherwise, kiss your hajj goodbye. You will be sacrificing like $10,000 just for $1,000 ticket. So get get a ticket and just go go there and do finish your stuff before the month ends. But no, I can't, my passport is expired. Oh, to get the visa I'll need 2 3 weeks. Like in some countries they don't get the visa online, and it's not very simple, or any reasons which prevents him from traveling. Then he can designate someone, or sickness. God forbid he becomes that much serious sick that he can't travel at all. So there are certain excuses, okay, which will, which in that case he can appoint a representative to perform, or send a representative to perform the tawaf or the umrat al-tamattu, the amal of umrat al-tamattu on his behalf. Scenario number 6. Now those 5 scenarios were what? They were Umrat al-Tamattu. Now this scenario is, what if that happens in Tawaf of Umrah Mufrada, and that person was able to go back, okay, or he was not able to go back. So the question is, so if a person, like same scenario, invalidation of the tawaf realized after completing the tawaf, and so and sa'i and safa and mar, everything, and tawaf and nisa, and he comes back to his hometown, okay, and he realizes that his tawaf al-umrah, tawaf of the umrah of mufrada, not nisa, mufrada, that means the main tawaf, was invalid, and he was able to or he was not able to, like both scenarios. He says if he is able to, the answer, if he's able to return and repeat all the nusks like tawaf of Umrah al-Mufrada, 2 rakat tawaf of Umrah al-Mufrada, sa'i between Safa and Marwa, taqsir, and tawaf al-Nisa for Umrah al-Mufrada, and salat of tawaf al-Nisa. If he's able to go back and repeat all these, then representative representing him will be problematic, okay, according to some scholars. But he says, to me, it will be sufficient, even if he's able to go back, okay? Even he's able to go back, uh, if he appoints a representative for Umrah al-Mufrada, it will be sufficient. That was question number 1. Question number 2. You mentioned in answer to one of the questions, okay, previous question, that if someone realized that his tawaf was invalid while he was in Arafat, so his umrah ببطلان طواف عمرته جهلا منه. So so his mut'a, that means we said the umrat al-tamattu, okay, will be invalid. He said, what do you mean by his tamattu will be invalid? So the word he used in the previous question was his tamattu will be invalid. So he says, what is the meaning? What do you meant by tamattu will be invalid? Did you mean that, he says, did you mean that the entire Hajj will be invalid? That means Umrah al-Tamattu and Hajj al-Tamattu together. Is this what you meant? Or it is only the Umrah al-Tamattu will be invalid? So he said that Hajj tamattu'uhi batil. Okay. Remember, we said that tamattu, because Umrah al-Tamattu is not there, because of the tawaf is invalid, Umrah al-Tamattu is valid. So Umrah al-Tamattu is invalid. However, he says that فإن أراد الإتيان بحج الإفراد, is therefore, if he wants to perform the Hajj which is going to be performed as ifrad, not tamattu, that means separate than Umrah al-Mufrada, okay, وسعة الوقت, and the time was sufficient for him to go to the miqat and perform, go to the miqat and enter the state of ihram, and from there directly go to Arafat. Okay, if that much time he has, but the question is that he was in Arafat. So yeah. فليذهب إلى بعض المواقيت ويحرم. So he said, so he said Hajj al-Tamattu is invalid. Because why? He's in Arafat, his Umrah al-Tamattu is invalid. So Hajj al-Tamattu is invalid. So if he wants to perform the Hajj al-Ifrad, he needs to get into the state of Ihram. And he doesn't have enough time to perform the Umrah and go to Arafat. But he may have time to go to one of the miqats, okay, and enter the state of Ihram, because Hajj al-Ifrad, they don't enter the state of Ihram from Makkah. Hajj al-Tamattu, you enter the state of Ihram from inside Makkah. Hajj al-Ifrad, people are coming from outskirts of Makkah. So their Ihram, their miqat, so you enter the state of Ihram in that miqat, okay. ولكن ذلك لا يجزي عن حج التمتع إن كان فرضا عليه. If Hajj al-Tamattu was obligatory upon you, then this Hajj al-Ifrat will not take its place, will not be sufficient. Okay? If the Hajj al-Tamattu was obligatory. But if the Hajj al-Tamattu was recommended, let's say it was a second Hajj or third Hajj, or it was not Hajj Hajj by rental out. I mean, somebody hired him to perform. It was not out of being hired, because if somebody hires you, you take the payment, then you need to fulfill the Hajj. That means that's an obligatory Hajj, even though you have done your Hajj. But because you took the payment, you need to fulfill the Hajj. إن كان فرضا عليه. So if it was not wajib upon him, he has already done his Hajj al-Tamattu, then yes, Hajj al-Ifrad is okay. But Hajj al-Ifrad, if you do and you did not, you had never done Hajj al-Tamattu, then Hajj al-Tamattu is must and obligatory, because that is the obligatory Hajj upon you as Hajj al-Islam, the first Hajj. And because the first Hajj for the outsiders, people living outskirts of Makkah and vicinities of Makkah, it is Hajj al-Tamattu. And if they live around Makkah, it is Hajj al-Ifrad. So now, if someone realizes that his tawaf was invalid after performing the taqsir, will it be obligatory upon him to wear the state of ihram back again to repeat the amal? Obviously, we said that he did not come out of his ihram because his taqsir was invalid. So he says, هو باق على إحرامي. He's still remaining in his ihram. His taqsir did not have any effect. Why? Because the tawaf was invalid. The salat al-tawaf was invalid. It's a domino effect. وباق وعليه أن يجتنب عن محرمات الإحرام من المخيط وغيره, and it is obligatory upon him to avoid whatever is prohibitions of ihram, such as the stitched attire, and any other thing, until he exits the state of ihram by completing his rituals of manasik, or the obligations of the umrah. Obligations of the Umrah. Question number 4. So he says that it has been mentioned in the Manasik, in the theme of Manasik al-Hajj, that if someone abandons the tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu, knowingly about the ruling or unknowingly, out of awareness or out of unawareness about the ruling. You said in the Manasik al-Hajj that it will invalidate the tawaf. أن ترك طواف عمرة التمتع عالما يؤدي إلى بطلان الطواف. وعلى الجاهل كفارة بدنة. I think it should be بطلان العمرة, because how can he did not do tawaf and his tawaf will be invalid? So I think there's a problem in the wording here, because it has been mentioned in the manasik that whoever avoids the tawaf, that means he did not do the tawaf. So how can it be invalid? So, because we took previously, if somebody his tawaf was invalid, his umrah is invalid. So this needs to be corrected, the word. So if somebody abandons the tawaf of umrah out intentionally, knowing the ruling, or unintentionally, out of unawareness, that leads to the invalidation of the umrah. Excuse me. That leads to the invalidation of Umrat al-Tamattu. Just we mentioned a while ago. And you also mentioned that the kafara, the penalty, will be a camel on the basis of obligatory precaution. So the question is, and that strange question, however, I mean, that strange scenario is strange. He says, you mentioned that the person who's unaware about the ruling, Jahil, should pay penalty of camel on the basis of obligatory precaution. So the question is, if someone did it knowingly, someone knew the ruling that he has to do tawaf, and he did not do the tawaf, he abandoned the tawaf. So you said that there is no, does it mean that there is no penalty upon a person who did it knowingly? And how? He says, the questioner says, why, why the unaware person has to pay penalty? The person who did it deliberately, knowingly, has no penalty. So, see, this is the peculiarity sometimes when you feel strange. Why does the marja rule like that? That's, look at the answer of Sayyid. Because of the narration has narrated the specific ruling. So I'm bound to the narration. The narration did not mention the aware, a person who's aware. No, the narration mentioned. That's when you need to trust our maraja. They don't give us something in our pocket. This is strange. It's strange that the person who's aware, no penalty. Yes, obviously, Hajj is invalid. If the Umrah is invalid, Hajj Tamattu is invalid. So there's a big loss, like 12,000, 13,000. But the ignorant person, poor guy, was unaware. He has to pay camel as well. On the basis of obligatory precaution, can refer to someone who might. So again, obligatory precaution. That means the narration has some problem. But however, say the Sistani doesn't want to let it go because there is some kind of strength in the narration, but not 100% strength. So he doesn't want to give fatwa because there's no, the narration has a question, is debatable. And he doesn't want to let it go and say there's no kafara because there is a kind of strength in certain area of the narration. So he can't reject the narration, he can't take the narration, he's in limbo, hesitation, and that's where the marja is in the middle. He plugs it with obligatory precaution to relieve himself from this responsibility and burden in giving a ruling, and he's still in doubt. He doesn't have concrete knowledge about the issue. So therefore, he allows you to refer to some other marja a'lam who might have a different view in this ruling. So he says, Naam, yes, there is no penalty on someone who did it knowingly, knowing the rule, that means deliberately, because he says the penalty is specific in the narration on the unaware person. So it's bound to the narration. Though the narration is shaky, that's why it's obligatory precaution and not a fatwa. Okay, and there may be some conflicting narrations to this narration. So whenever there are situation which brings the certainty from the narration to having a doubt here and there, so marja might let it go and say there's no penalty. Marja might feel no, there is some strength in the content of the narration, so he might just use obligatory precaution until the marja is not sure 100% that the narration is sound and accurate and from every aspect. He never gives a fatwa because he doesn't want to take the responsibility in front of Allah to give a fatwa without having a concrete knowledge. And that's the part and parcel of the God cautiousness with marja has, in which many people unfortunately now they doubt in this aspect. Question number 5. Question number 5. إذا نسي الطواف, if someone forgot the tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu or forgot some of the rounds of that tawaf, later on he remembered when in Arafat, what should he do? Okay, what should he do? He's in Arafat now. So um, um, وهو في عرفات فماذا يصنع? What should he do? The answer, يقضيه. He will do the qada of it. When he comes back to Mecca. Remember, he forgot. He did not leave out of unawareness or deliberately knowing. So he did not leave, avoid the tawaf deliberately, knowingly, or out of unawareness. No, he knew the ruling, but he forgot. So he forgot, no problem. After he comes back from Hajj, from Mina, Muzdalifah, Arafat, he can do this qada, make up. He can make up this what was missed. ولو كان المنسي 3 أشواط أو أكثر. If the forgotten rounds were 3 and more, that means he completed fourth round. Okay, our criteria is fourth round. Then he can, when he comes back, he can complete wherever he stopped. Sayyidina, what about the mualat? The consistency, the whole deal of the connectivity, consist. This is one of the cases, few cases where the consistency is not required, because the guy went to the Arafat and this and that, forget about 10 minutes, more than 10 hours, maybe 2 days until he comes back to Makkah to perform his Amal of Makkah. So he says if he was more than 3 plus more rounds missed, that means after he completed the fourth round, he had forgotten some rounds, then he will complete wherever he stopped. ولو كان أكثر, if there were more than 3 rounds, okay, then he will complete what was missed and perform a new tawaf on the basis of obligatory precaution, okay, because there's a problem that he missed more than 3, that means he did not complete fourth round, okay. And there's a problem also that um, so the thing which is supporting his side is the case of forgetfulness. When you come back, just complete. The thing which is not supporting, he missed more than 4 rounds. So here this is the case of hesitation. Should we say because he forgot, khalas, repeat the tawaf from the beginning, or no, because if the muala is not required here, so that means his first round is still hanging, okay, that means he needs to complete the first tawaf, okay, he needs to complete even if it was more than. So you see the where the scenario is technically. So he has two things. He he missed more than 3 rounds, that means he did not complete. So the rule is he will redo the whole thing, okay. The other concept is no, when he comes back, muala is not necessary, as he has been doing tawaf and he just like went to Arafat and this and that and came back after two days or something. He will continue. So this kind of technicality, where Sayyid doesn't know should he go this side because muala is not necessary, come back and complete, or no, because he has missed more than 3 rounds, that means he did not complete his 4 round, so he has to redo a new one, okay. So he says complete and redo a new one on the basis of obligatory precaution. Question number 6. If he forgot his tawaf, okay, or he performed the tawaf invalid. So if he forgot his tawaf or his tawaf was invalid out of forgetfulness of some of the conditions of tawaf, so can he recap it, whatever was missed out of the month of Hajj? Remember we said completed in the Hajj until the end of the Hajj, if it was Umrat al-Tamattu or Hajj al-Tamattu. But he says that can he do it out of the Hajj, out of the month of Hajj? So he says, إذا كان طوافه عمرة التمتع. If his tawaf was the tawaf of Umrat al-Tamattu and he remembered it before the time to make it, okay, that means end of the Hajj. قبل فإن تذكره قبل, because this is a situation of forgetfulness. Okay, he forgot the tawaf, or he forgot some of the rounds of some of the his tawaf was invalid due to performing messing up in the conditions of some of the conditions of tawaf, out of unawareness, out of forgetfulness. Not our unawareness, there's a difference between forgetfulness. We said that unawareness, no. Knowingly, no. Forgetfulness, there's a room for mercy here. Okay, so uh yeah, so فإن تذكروا قبل مضي وقت تداركه. Okay, before passing of the time that he can redo it. So um so two scenarios. If the tawaf of if the tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu, if it was, so yeah, so there is a classification: tawaf of Umrah, tawaf of Hajj. So number one, he takes the scenario of tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu. So scenario number one, tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu. He says if it was the tawaf of his Umrah of Tamattu, okay, if he remembers it before the passing of its time, perform it. Perform it, finish. And if he remembers it before performing the tawaf of Manasik al Hajj, okay, then he performs it on the basis of obligatory precaution before performing the tawaf of Manasik al Hajj. We took also this one, that after Hajj you come and you're forgotten, before you do the Manasik al Hajj tawaf, do this one. Okay, al-ityan bihi qabla. If he remembers, however, if he remembers it after performing the tawaf of Hajj, okay, oh, my tawaf of Umrah Mufrada was messed up. He says, then do after the tawaf of Hajj, tawaf of Hajj you remember, then perform it after the tawaf of Hajj with the intention of qada, making up any time. Even though it is recommended precaution to perform it before the end of the Hajj. It's recommended precaution. Now this was what? Tawaf of Umrah al-Tamattu. So Umrah al-Tamattu, if the time is still there, redo it. Okay? If that if even if you performed it after, even if you came back from Mina Muzdalifah after the Manasik al-Hajj, before performing the Tawaf of Hajj, do it normally. But if you did Tawaf of Hajj, after that what? Do it with the intention of qada whenever you like to do it, though it is recommended precaution to complete it before the end of the Hajj. Now what if it was Tawaf of Hajj? If it was Tawaf of Hajj, okay, Hajj al-Tamattu, like after coming back from Arafat and Muzdalifah, you forgot to do this Tawaf of Hajj. So if it was before finishing of the Hajj, then he needs to perform it. Okay, before. Uh, and if he did not remember until Dhul Hajj was passed, finished, then he can do it qada whenever he wants. So you can observe the flexibility in the tawaf, forgotten tawaf, and strictness in knowingly, obviously, you deserve to the cancellation of your Hajj. But unknowingly, yes, the question is, why didn't you learn? Coming to Hajj, are you coming to Spain trip and Bahamas and those kind of things? No, Baba, you're coming to do ibadah, and this ibadah is structured ibadah, which has obligations. So therefore, in the case of knowingly or unaware, unknowingly about some conditions of tawaf, that's not that much mercy. But if it was forgetfulness, we see that we observe that there is a kind of room of flexibility. Question number 7. إذا نسي الطواف, if he forgot the tawaf, ولكن أتى بصلاته, however he performed the salat of tawaf whenever he remembered. So he ولكنه أتى بصلاة فهل عليه عند التذكر إعادة الصلاة بعد الإتيان بالطواف. So he remembered. So now should he redo the salat of tawaf after doing the tawaf? He says yes, on the basis of obligatory precaution, because the salat is depending on the tawaf. So if tawaf was not there, in the previous ruling we said he has to do the tawaf and the salat of tawaf and the sa'i wa safa wa marwa. Everything is a domino effect. Question number 8. If someone forgot the rounds of tawaf of umrah or hajj, hatta until he came back to his hometown and he did the private relations with his wife, because he's still in the ihram, we said. Still, private relations with the spouse are prohibited. So he came and he had the private relation with his wife. Is there any penalty? Oh my goodness. If إذا كان المنسي, if the forgotten rounds were more than 3 rounds, okay, more than 3 rounds, that means he did not complete the 4th round, okay, before completing the 4th round, or in the first round or the second round and third round, there are rounds missed more than 3 rounds. So if if the forgotten was more than 3 rounds, then on the basis of obligatory precaution, pay the penalty the way it is mentioned in ruling number 323. So from the main text, so you go back to the main text, we discussed about these penalties from the manasik. And if it was 3 rounds or less, that means he had completed the 4th round. Okay, if it was 3 rounds and less, then it will be sufficient to make up, and there will be no kafara, according to my opinion. Okay, al aqrab. So if it was, and remember, for person who forgot, the mualat is an exceptional case here. No need. So he's back in his hometown, and he had so he either he goes back to Makkah and he completes these 3 rounds. Yeah, I mean, why did you? I mean, oh, why did you forget? You cannot say we are human beings. We forget. Okay, sorry, but why didn't you keep the track of the count? Okay, I tracked, but I kept the track. Forgot. Okay, sorry. So he has every answers. I mean, you can't just. Okay, so what should I do? I mean, should I go back and perform the tawaf? Yes, if you can, then you go back, because it's a matter of your hajj, okay, or even umrah. So you can go back and perform it. And we said, say the Sistani allows the representation, or find someone who can represent you in making up these qada, the tawaf and uh, yeah, salat of tawaf, because it's qada. Yani, again, question number 9. You mentioned in the manasik that if someone forgot the tawaf and came back to his hometown and did private relations, okay, intercourse with his wife, then he needs to send the goat to Mina. I know you're going to make a comment here. Oh, by DHL or what? No, it's like you tell somebody in Makkah, okay, to buy a goat and take it to Mina and slaughter it there. That's what he meant, not send the goat to from here. So he came back to his hometown, okay, وواقع زوجته, and he did his private relations with his wife. It is necessary to send, not from your hometown, to send the goat of sacrifice, okay, to Mina, if the forgotten was tawaf of Hajj. Okay, so if you had forgotten, and we mentioned this previously in the rulings, I remember it. So if you had forgot, because this issue of coming to your relatives, I mean your wife, has been mentioned in the penalties chapter of penalties. Okay, so you can the what does that mean? That means sending means slaughter the sacrifice in Mina. And if the forgotten was tawaf of Umrah, okay, then slaughter the sacrifice in Makkah. Okay, so tawaf of Hajj in Mina, tawaf of Umrah in Makkah. Slaughtering needs to be in Mina for tawaf of Hajj missed, and tawaf of forgotten, and for obviously this is beside, in addition to the qada. He has to send somebody or a representative to make up. So the question is, I mean, this guy understood as like sending from his hometown as a DHL or something like that. Okay, because the wording of the, sometimes it makes it like send. So that's why this this questioner wants to clarify: should I send it from my hometown, or no? It is sufficient to get somebody from Makkah and Mina and slaughter it there. So he says, my question is, the question says that is it necessary to send the animal of sacrifice from his hometown, or it is sufficient to designate a representative, okay, who could buy the goat from Mecca and slaughter it there, or from Mina and slaughter it there. He says it is sufficient to designate somebody to buy that. I don't know what's the rule of sending goats nowadays. Do they have to be vaccinated or not? Because they don't allow the transportation of many countries of the vegetarian things, fresh vegetables, and goats and sheep. So anyhow, yeah. I mean, sometimes people, when you say send the goat to their Mina or Makkah, they feel like, oh my goodness, like how will I send it from my hometown? But it's like sometimes the wording, they take it from the narrations, and the narrations, they were talking about somebody living in, for example, Medina or somewhere, and from Medina they will send the goat in the on the camel or something. No, anyhow, so it was like some close places, vicinities in the time of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or those times the things were close, so people would come and they will ask the Imam the question. So he will be either from Medina, either from place close to Medina. So Imam will send the sacrifice. If you cannot go, obviously send the sacrifice. So so yeah, I mean the whole idea is the sacrifice or the penalty needs to be slaughtered in Makkah if it was tawaf of Umrah, and in Medina if it was tawaf of Hajj. Okay, question number 10. من علم بعد الرجوع. If somebody realized, became aware, became knowledgeable after coming back to his hometown that Umrah Mufrada was invalid. Why? because his wudu of tawaf was invalid and he cannot go back to Makkah again. So what is his responsibility? So he's still in ihram. His ihram did not become invalid. His a'mal, remember domino effect? Tawaf invalid, salat al-tawaf invalid, sa'i and taqsir and tawaf al-nisa and salat tawaf al-nisa. The whole package, the whole sandwich. Tawaf, sa'i, tawaf. So he says if he was not able to go back, okay, um, إذا لم يكن متمكنا من الرجوع, he was not able to go back due to the preventing causes for him to arrive Makkah or travel to Makkah. Then he will designate a representative. I know someone, people, they did tawaf for all the way from the top floor. Okay. We had to ask someone there from Makkah to take the representative of this brother and do the whole thing package, tawaf. And then after that, he called him, now you can do the taqsir from your hometown, cut some hair and exit the state of ihram. وإن كان من جهة منعه من الوصول إليها فلا يبعد جريان حكم المصدود عليه وإن كان لحوة أسلوب أحوط أن يستنيب لأداء الأعمال قبل التحلل من إحرامه ما هو وظيفة المصدود. I mean, we have not taken the masdood, yes, until now. So that's why I need to just explain quickly what is masdood. So there are two causes for not being able to go to Makkah. Okay. One is you have been prevented from entering Makkah for the authoritative reasons, for certain reasons, you cannot enter Makkah. Okay. So that person's hukum is wherever you are, you just exit your ihram with certain conditions, okay, that we are going to take later on. So you don't have to tell somebody, oh, do the tawaf on my behalf and salat al-tawaf, because you are masdood, you are barred from entering Makkah. So if you're barred from entering Makkah, then, and one of the things could be you did not get the visa. Okay. So there is an authoritative reasons which, or your country doesn't allow you to travel. So you are stuck in your ihram. So what's the ruling? Just do those things which we're going to mention and exit your, do the taqsir or exit your ihram or something like that. We're going to talk into details about that. So that's masdood. So that's why he divides this answer into two divisions. The ruling of masdood, barred from entering Makkah, either by barred from leaving your hometown or entering the Saudi Arabia or entering Makkah, whatever reasons, you are barred. You cannot enter. Or no, other than these reasons. So other than reasons like sickness, like costly ticket, like all those kind of things, okay, no vacation, nothing, those are not reasons of being barred. You can still travel if you push yourself, take a leave without pay, fight with the boss or something like that. I mean, you can, but that's going to be complication for you. That's going, take a loan. That's going to be that means you can travel. You're not barred, but you can't go due to the other reasons. Sickness, you can push yourself and be there and become more sick, or be purified with the hyperbolic irfani glows coming on you, and you become, and many people, they go there, then they become shifa, they become cured. I mean, so there is that you can potentially travel, but what prevents you is sickness, no leave, money issues. This is all these, by pushing a little bit, are solvable, but that being barred is not solvable. So the unsolvable situation of being entering Makkah, that you have the rules of masdud, rules of the person who's barred, and then you exit the ihram. You don't need to do tawaf and everything. That's why he says, even though it's recommended precaution that appoint someone to perform the amal on your behalf before exiting the ihram, which is the responsibility of the one who's barred from entering Makkah. Okay, so that is so I'm going to recap or sum up the ruling back again. So he says, if he was able to go back, no, if he was not able to go back, other than being barred, reasons other than being barred, okay, which prevented him from entering Makkah, he can appoint a representative. Okay, he can appoint a representative to do the amal on his behalf there, and then do the taqsir and exit the state of ihram. However, if he could not go due to the due to being barred, okay, from entering that area, I mean Makkah and Medina, or he's barred from leaving even in some cases. So he's been barred from arriving there. He says arriving there where he needs to perform these amal. Then he said, in my opinion, the closest thing is that the ruling of the one who's barred will be applied. Okay, that means he doesn't have to perform the amal or give a representation to somebody to perform the amal, even though so he can do the taqsir and exit the ihram, even though it's recommended precaution to before exiting the state of ihram. He gives a representation to somebody who performs the amal of umrat al-tamattu or umrat al, yeah, so umrah al-mufrada, sorry, we're talking about amal of umrah al-mufrada, um, and and then perform the responsibility of the barred one and exit the ihram. Final question for today. If someone realized after a day or more that his sa'i was invalid out of unawareness, then will it be obligatory upon him to redo the tawaf and salatul tawaf? He said, to me, I don't think it is necessary to repeat the tawaf and salat al-tawaf in such case. And that was the last ruling for today. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.